I'd like to call the Bluff City Board of Mayor and Alderman regular meeting Tuesday, March the 2nd, 2021, 6 p.m. to order. Roll call, please.
Carol Keith.
Here.
Jeff Broyles.
Here.
Ray Harrington.
Here.
Eric Ward.
Here.
Richard Bowling.
Here.
Okay, and the next thing on the agenda is a prayer by Ray Harrington, Vice Mayor Ray Harrington.
Lord, let us pray. Lord, we come to you now for this meeting for the town of Bluff City. We ask that all the decisions in this meeting be for the best of the residents in the town of Bluff City. Be with us now as we make these decisions. We thank you for everything you do for us each and every day. Be with all these families who are in need and all these ones who are receiving the COVID vaccine. Have your hand on them. We thank you for everything you do. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, he taught me to see me.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda is citizen comments. Don't have anybody. And so, discussion and action. Dave Wilson with Madam Cricket.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank y'all for having me this evening. I don't have all the good news that I wanted to, and Sam Snyder with Thomas had an emergency this evening and can't be with us, but he told me that he would get with me later this week, and I'm going to put together a more concrete written agenda of action items and try to move forward to get this thing out of the ground and working on it. And I'd like to answer any questions y'all may have related to the project. I know there's a lot of concerns.
Question be ready.
Yes.
Well, I just want to know where we're at. I mean, we heard that there was going to be a 3 or 4 month timeline.
Yeah.
Approximately. So where exactly are we now?
Well, obviously that was from the beginning to the end of the construction, and we need to get started. I need to do a better job about getting started, and whatever needs to occur. I know the latest hang up that I had was with the railroad. I think you all were aware of some of that, and we've just now got that basically lined out to their satisfaction, I believe. So I would like to go back and reassess the timeline based upon that, and I know that we still have we're working under the last waiver request for the funding, which was through March the 31st. I'd like to go ahead and get a detailed plan of action and move forward from there with another request for extension on that. What I had been, under the impression from that timeline is if we were underway, things would be acceptable, but I want to verify that and move forward.
So how long is the delay?
Well, I'd like to have that out to you this week. I mean, I need to have it now, and then we need to get a concrete date from Thomas's when they're here, and then go right into it. I still, based upon the type of work that needs to occur, obviously we have the water line work and we have the sewer work. The most outstanding or the longest period of work will be on the pump station for the garage. So to me, that's the longest item, and you would have once those materials are ordered, there's a lag, and I think that's the 3 to 4 months we were talking about. I think the actual work for the water and sewer, we're talking about 1,100 feet of water line, and realistically, you do have cleanup and restoration, but if you did 100 feet a day or even 50 feet a day, you're talking less than 30 days on that. And the same for the sewer work it's a little over 600 feet, I believe 680 feet. And I'd like to believe that, you could get 80 to 100 feet of that a day. So you'd be talking 2 weeks probably for the actual work other than restoration. We do want to make sure that there were some punch items with the old job. I think there were, we wanted to make sure that there was a pothole here and there that we want to make sure that we attend to with this work also.
Dave, you're going to start, where are you going to start at the pump station's garage?
Yeah, the pump, that's the very first thing is I'd like to get all that equipment ordered and then actually to get them here on the ground. And it's up, you all can direct me, but I had thought the water line work, we would begin about the Senior Citizen Center, working our way back.
Can they not go ahead and get the pumps ordered?
Yes, yes. Kind
Like
of at the same time, yeah. Well, I'd like to make sure that I don't want to tell you a time wrong again, so I want to get an actual report of it.
Because they need to get those ordered, because like you said, that's the longest thing out there.
How many pumps you going to have up there, Dave?
There will be 2 pumps.
Is it 2 now?
Well, theoretically, there are 2, but only one is working, I understand.
Ticking time bomb.
Yeah, and they, based upon that type of work, one pump will carry the flow, and it will carry the peak flow, but we will have them set up to actually cycle and alternate one or the other, and during a high water time, both of them can kick on to keep from there being any type of overflow at the garage pump station, which don't believe that's ever been experienced, Mayor, that to the best of my knowledge.
So you don't think we will have the same problem at the new place where you want to go now as we are having it down there?
Don't anticipate that, Ms. Keith, no.
Because we didn't have a problem there at first, did we?
This will
We started messing with it.
This will be taking some of the flow off of the.
Yes, it will be. Now, there had been, I know in the past, there had been overflows, but I think they were mainly related to clogs in the line. If you recall, in 1994, funding was received, and the 10-inch line from the discharge of the force main near the ball fields all the way down past the Applewood and the post office and until about 2 manholes from the igloo was replaced. And when that occurred, that got rid of the overflows that had been occurring. There had been about, I don't remember the exact number, but there were more than 10, I think, over a 2 or 3 year period at different places behind the post office and up that way. At the garage, it is fed by the Vickers Road pump station also. And to my knowledge, I don't even think there have been high water alarms there in the past that I'm aware of. So I just couldn't, without that feeding it, we're going back with the same, more capacity with new pumps should allow you to have a greater operating range and a better operating range than you have now.
Is that pump station on Vickers Road, does it pump to the garage?
It does. It pumps from Vickers Road down in the bottom up to Duty Drive. And from, let me make sure I'm telling you correctly. Back to actually that, I want to be sure. It either discharges on Duty Drive or it may discharge at Hillview. No, it doesn't, because we didn't go across 11. It discharges back to Duty Drive and down and back into the system that way.
All this is new to me, but you can maybe explain to me. We're finished down here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you've already been paid for all that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But it's not really finished. I mean, they still have problems. What can we do about that since we've already paid you for that?
Well, I'd like to, always keep it yes, we do have problems and we'll always have problems.
Right,
and
right.
I don't know that, to look at it from just, let's say, a black and white standpoint of what the regulations say, the town of Bluff City is meeting its requirement to have 5 or less overflows annually. Now, we have seen, and I think over time, I hate to speak ahead of time, but take, for instance, the rain this past weekend. You know, that passed, and I think there may have been a high water, but it did not overflow. So, given that we didn't overflow during that event, I'm hoping that we've now got things settled down to a point where we're not going to see that overflow, or the frequency of it will be very rare. Certainly less than 5 times in any calendar year.
And this new line will take some off of it.
That's right. It will.
200.
About, yeah. I think it's about 25%.
Off
Some,
of it.
yeah.
Okay, all right, but if we have any problems, you will go check that
Certainly.
warranty or something?
Yeah. Now, actually, you know, the pumps themselves they have performed splendidly, to my knowledge. We did have an issue with the power, I think, at one point in time, but other than that, I think the Iron Mountain folks met their obligations with the pumps. Any overflows that we've had have strictly been related to the flows, except for the time we had a power issue. And Alan, I'm not 100% sure, but Alan could inform us on that.
These pumps down here, they're regulated where they go water at a time, and how the both of them goes in, nothing's off that.
Yes, sir. They work off of a float system, and when the water in the manhole reaches a certain level, it makes the pump kick on, and that pump will cycle and operate until the flow goes back down to the level for it to be off. Now, the next time that cycle runs through, the other pump will be turned on. So they're alternating just like the others would during the high flow periods. If we're receiving flow and one pump can't pump it down, or the cycles are getting crossed, both pumps will kick on until the flow is pumped back down to the level where they kick off. And then you'll go back to rotating whichever one was last used will be used first.
Can I ask a question? I just got a question. Can I ask a question? Did you say that there'll always be an overflow down there? Is that what you said?
What I'm saying is,
5 times a year?
no, sir, I didn't say that.
I just heard 5 times a year. As long as it's under 5 times a year, it's okay. You meet your
I don't think you're meeting the requirements of your permit. Obviously, no one wants an overflow at any time. But to sit here and tell you that is going to occur, I can't do that. I don't think anyone can. Yeah. Now, I understand, you know, the bottom line is, even the regulatory people, the TDEC people, they recognize that overflows will occur in systems. That's why they say they give you a stipulated number, because they can happen for any reason, or for a large rain event, or for something that may happen in your system. It's just when it happens with the frequency of more than 5 per year, then they believe you have a systemic problem that you're not addressing.
So they won't step on your toes and get over 5 then.
Moving forward, that's correct. Now, obviously, we don't want to have any.
We don't have any at all.
Exactly.
No.
But if we do get an overflow, because I've already heard that if we get another one or whatever, that we'll end up facing another lawsuit.
Yeah, that's
Plus,
very
it's
unfortunate.
Really costing us, because we've got to buy trucks.
Ma'am, I understand. I don't know what anybody. And I'm just a run-of-the-mill engineer. I don't know that you could have gotten anybody that could tell you different than I'm telling you. You know, the fact is, the system will overflow in the future. I know that will happen. I know that will happen. Now, when it does or what the circumstances will be, I don't know. But sometime in the next 5 or 10 years, maybe hopefully longer, but it will likely occur. As long as it does not occur more than 5 times in that annual period, then the town of Bluff City is meeting its obligations. And that's the same for any municipality. As an engineer, and I guess as a public service provider, you know, the town decides what its obligations should be in order to try to prevent these things from happening. It's you hear catchphrases like engineered obsolescence or engineering for the dumbest person, things like that. So, for instance, it's an analogy. It may not be the most appropriate, but like on a highway, when we design the rate of curvature on a horizontal curve, that's based upon the anticipated speed limit, the design limit of the road and what people will drive. Now, obviously, if
It's going to be a little more than what
you do, and you factor in a factor of safety, so because of a curve may be signed to say 25 miles per hour, it may be actually designed that you could go 45 miles per hour and be comfortable. But as a municipality, what are you going to do if someone drives 50 or 60 miles an hour and they have the accident? Then, that's a similar, it's not 100%, but it's.
And may I say this, though, we have a fine line with what we send to Bristol as well. Even if we caught every bit of it, we couldn't send it as quick as we got it to Bristol because we would cause them to have overflow.
That has been an issue in the past, and I think will continue to be. The flows, all the flows from Bluff City go to the city of Bristol, and they go in two different ways. The first way is from the igloo, and that is pumped up to Lakeview Drive and then down to the pump station that the city of Bristol has on Lakeview. The other way is the pump station that catches the Hillview community, goes and through a roundabout way through the under 11 and down Whitehead Road and gets back to the same pump station just from the other direction. With all of that said, then there is a certain limit that the city takes there, the city of Bristol will accept. They've divvied those flows up because they also, from that same direction that the Hillview flows go, they get waste from down to the crossroads, if I'm not mistaken, and then from the Tri-County Park. So they have waste coming in from all of those entities, and those pumps at Lakeview are designed to handle a certain amount of flow. And what Ray has alluded to is that given that, if they see great increases from the town of Bluff City, they will turn around if it's beyond the limits they expect and say, we're not going to take it. And if that was one of our concerns, back in the day when we first were designing the project, I would love, the easiest thing is to design the biggest pump that I can and send every drop to them. But they would not fund that project. You're not allowed to do that.
Because we would have pushed the problem on down the line instead of fixing our situation here.
I understand what you're saying. You said that we're okay as long as it's 4 or 5 or something like that? Pretty much we're like
From a regulatory standpoint.
Well, my concern is the citizens. One time is too many for it to go in somebody's yard. That's my concern.
Absolutely. And I think everyone agrees. Nobody wants that to happen. Again, what will prevent that from happening? I think it's, we've gone through the exercise in the past of like a settling basin, other options that may be considered. And I think with all of those options, you have pros and cons, and I think your cons are gravely outweigh the pros, in my opinion, particularly if we aren't having the number of overflows or if they've been cut down upon, which hopefully, like this past weekend, we do see that. Knock on wood.
And with this new project, we're going to have an increase of 25% worth of capacity.
At the igloo, that's correct.
Because
Yes.
we'll pull 25% off of it. So
Yes.
that in itself should give us a very good cushion, as you would say, I guess.
Would certainly hope so. Now, things will occur, as we sit here and as time has lapsed, the system has not improved. Every day that goes by, and the guys that work in the system can tell you, more debris collects in the system. One of the big problems is you'll have grit and gravel will enter into the system, and all of that takes away the capacity in your lines, and it's hard on your pumps. But with all those things being said, again, you have to find that place to, you want to meet your regulatory obligation And at the same time, and I mean, it's not my place to lecture on that, but you all know a lot better than I do. You have a fiscal responsibility, so, you know, do you want to take $10 million and fix that sewer problem forever? Is it worth $10 million? What is it worth? I mean, it's that's rhetorical, but I mean, it will boil down to that if we keep discussing it in that fashion.
I've got two concerns on it, Dave. One of them is like Carol about the overflowing the Bowles Yard there, because I would like to be overflowing mine. And another one is, see, all these pump work, we have to call in to pump that stuff out. It costs the city a fortune. We're actually paying that money. I think we should have to.
The actual, have you all tracked and maintained those expenses? I know you have. Sharon probably has a
Yes.
record of each and every one. I would be interested to know how much has been spent, and particularly from when the project started, perhaps to now, you know, looking at before and after.
It's quite a bit.
Yeah. Is it $300 every time, more or less, or
Oh, they're up to about like 600.
500,
Yeah.
700?
He said 5 to
600.
7.
Yeah.
That would be last week.
So it's 300
Yeah.
just to get called out, and then you have time on top of that.
They run.
10 loads, that's a lot of money.
They were usually running the thousands of dollars.
Is that money, what's that money coming out of, the sewer fund to pay for that? See, we get ready to maybe buy a truck, but see, that's not gonna take through the whole farm. You're gonna have to have more than one truck, really, you know, for that year, I'd call that stuff.
That's correct.
But with the truck, we'll already have it already out there.
They had
They
it
can
started,
start.
yes, I mean, that's a good advantage, they had it started, maybe you could prevent it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
not be able to prevent it if you get there on time, you know, but
In the last, do you all know the last time that the pumping actually occurred? Was the pumping completed this past weekend?
We didn't have to have a truck or anything this weekend.
Okay. So it's, do you recall the last time that they did?
I think, just like Terry said, I think it was either December or January.
I know I think you had one in January this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you had one the other day, when I was out when I saw a pump truck sitting there, he said it's on standby. Still, we got to pay for that standby.
Dave, I know that you've been talking with Lewis with USDA. Don't you think it would be a good idea for us to go ahead and ask for an extension,
Yes, ma'am.
so we won't take a chance of, you know,
I will
just-
get that, I'll get that put together for you this week and tell you to request an extension, yeah.
We're going to start date this week.
Yeah. Do our best to get that whole plan of action.
okay.
It'd be good if we get 2 or 3 teams all working at one time.
Yeah. I don't think too much that that's going to happen because they're so far behind. Thomas Construction is so far behind, too. I think just about everybody
Unless
is.
they subcontract.
Mhm.
Would they be allowed to do that?
Yes, and they have looked into that.
Look a little harder at it. I think so.
You got to ask them all what that project costs. What cost it all together.
Yes, sir, it was approximately $600,000, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 5. That's with the contingencies and all the still with the 10% contingency, I believe, so you're correct. We had, the largest expense was for the garage pump station. I think we had $285,000.
You had put pumps in up there, new pumps in. We put new pumps in at the trough.
Yes, sir.
And then the fees for the railroad too.
Yeah.
And then there's people
That's-
doing it.
Well, you had the application fee itself, which was approximately $6,000, and then they came back and wanted fees, basically occupancy fees, and together those were about $13,000
Yes.
there, 7 and 6, and now on top of that, when the project begins, we will have special insurance fees, and then of course Thomas will incur the fee, but it's passed through to the town to have an inspector there from the railroad. So that is something,
You're getting off $30,000 for that.
yeah, and that's something that I did not anticipate. And it's basically, there's been a change in the way that Norfolk Southern has operated. I think they have a new group that's overseeing that work for them. And I think specifically with the intent that they're going to really enforce their regulations to do those things when they've not in the past. They have, but not to the extent that we've seen, particularly with these occupancy fees and inspection fees. And going forward, I'm very concerned for the town. You have a lot of water and sewer in the railroad rights-of-way, and any time, theoretically, that work is completed on those, maintenance work or replacement work, you're obligated to go back and have those permits and the insurance, and it's a fee that we've never discussed or anticipated before. It's going to keep recurring. The option is to not inform them, but I think there would be repercussions from that. Folks say it's easier to ask for forgiveness or whatever, but I don't know that I would believe that. Yeah. I think that is something definitely, and I know we've discussed, and I have talked to some other communities, and Bluff City's not alone. Other communities are seeing the same things. We had a project in Newport that we had worked on, and it was held up most recently more than 3 months because of when the inspector was on the project, there was a glitch that shut them down for 2 or 3 days, and they had left the project. Well, then you had to get back in line to schedule the inspector to be there and then repay, and there were a lot of things that I think we'll really have to be leery of or aware of in the future on any projects.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Good for you. Thank you. You know, this speaks to the complacency. What we're trying to do is, as a board, reasonable, is trying to fix the situation without one reason. And we'll continue to have to delve into capital problems forever. But I think that although the news is bad, per se, and the brought us today, we in last year for sure were super happy, trying to fix the situation for the citizens. I know there's been some, I guess, less than desirable reports from Dave's firm and from the things that we've done into all these other policies. But we can never let ourselves fall into this situation, no matter what the problem is.
Well, yes, sir, if I may, also, I think that as a service provider, water and wastewater, the town has been as active as can be. You all have obligated yourselves and committed yourselves to projects to fix these issues. Hopefully, not getting that overflow this past weekend, which I would have almost guaranteed we would have had one in the past. Hopefully, that's an indicator that a lot of the things are better. Would ask you to consider again that our overall flows have really gone down with the project that was completed. And those, and Mayor, I don't have those in front of me, but I know about 35% flows of the overall volume of flows that the town of Bluff City sends to the city of Bristol. That volume has decreased about 35% since from 2018 until through this past year. And I'm wanting to say 40, but I know it's at least 35, which that's an incredible. And I would like to think that you would see savings in that day in and day out based upon what you pay, but I know you did have a readjustment.
Yeah, we had an increase.
Yeah.
And it goes into effect in July.
So that,
It's
that in itself.
It's a bigger increase this time than it was last year.
What's that on there?
That's on the flow from Bristol.
Yeah. But with all that being said, I mean, and the overflow issue obviously has driven the face of the project or the perception of the project, and unfortunately, I think that will always be the case no matter what. But overall, you're absolutely correct. This board has attended to a problem, and it's wonderfully successful. It's just from the perspective of that overflow. I can tell you that Mattern and Craig, we have not billed any monies related to that beyond the project amounts that we paid for. I know in the past there, we did perform a lot of hourly services, but Mary, we've not really done that for quite a while because of the ongoing projects, and I've been able to keep them in the perspective of projects coming and going.
Does anyone else have any questions that you want to ask Mr. Wilson?
Thank you all.
Well, I think the good thing is that you're going to work on the extension.
Yes, ma'am.
And
I'll have that too. I'll have that.
okay, thank you.
And as much time as we can get.
Thank you. Okay, next thing on the agenda is discussion and action minutes of the special call meeting of February the 8th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Do we
I'll
have-
second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Take the vote, please.
Alderwoman Keith,
Yes.
Alderman Jeff Rule,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Alderman Eric Ward, and Alderman Richard Butler.
Okay, the next thing I would like to discuss is on the septic truck. We talked about this at the last meeting, about the septic truck, and y'all got a chance to look at it, but, and at that time, the total price that they had asked at the beginning before I talked with them was $37,000. And I was able to talk them down to $35,000. Well, the discussion was good on the truck, and we didn't know exactly what all the different things that was wrong with the truck. I mean, we have like the inspection to have the truck to have it inspected, it costs $489.50. So I asked them to give me an estimate on the price of how much everything would cost that's wrong with the truck. And you have to think these big companies, they checked everything, and you can't really go by, their prices because of the fact that they have these big, huge prices on everything. So the total that they gave me, and that was including the inspection that we was going to have to pay the price of, it was $4,942.59. And if you look at the estimate sheet, you can see. But I talked with him, and I told him that he said that, he didn't know of anything being wrong with the truck. But I thought it was a good idea for us to have someone to check. So I called him as soon as I got the estimate, and I told him that the sheet that he had given us, it said everything was okay. But he bought the truck back in 2020, July 20. And someone else, where he purchased the truck, they gave him an estimate. They gave him a breakdown on what was wrong with it, and they said everything was okay. But what he's decided that he would do was to pay half of the repairs for the truck. And if we do the work, we feel like that, the city feels like that the men here can do the work cheaper. Because these prices on here for fixing lights, the major concern, if you look at it, is the the oil leak. And of course the brakes, that we have to fix the brakes, and there's things on here, but we feel like that it won't cost us as much as what they estimated. And Eric, who works here, Eric, gosh, for some reason I have your name on my brain. Elliot, he has a CDL license and everything. And what he would like for us to do is not make a decision on the truck until he can drive the truck. He wants to get out and drive the truck. He wants to pump some of the septic from down at the pump station, and then he wants to go over the truck himself and look at everything and see. He feels like that it would be worth it for the city to fix the truck. And Alan more or less feels that way also, because this price is just like ridiculous. And so, yes, it's mainly labor. And so Elliot would like to do that before this a decision is made. So I don't know how y'all feel about it, but yeah. But lights and stuff. Eric knows a lot about, maintenance and everything. And the prices and what he would do, he would also check the prices, his prices, rather than this company that did this estimate. The only thing is, the owner of the truck, he cannot get with Elliot until probably Friday or Monday. And he's going to ride with him and everything. And check it out before y'all make a decision about how Elliot feels. And with the oil leak and everything, let it set for a while because evidently, from what the owner said, he didn't not really know about the oil leak and stuff. Yes. Yes. And he's going to look at the prices and he's going to look at the prices and stuff. And so what I'm thinking is if he takes off half of this off of the price of the truck, then and see how much. Eric sort of feels like, Eric, I have been worried about you coming to the meeting, and I've had you on my mind, and I'm sorry. I said, but Elliot. Well, y'all call him Scott. I call him Elliot. But anyway, he feels like that once he goes over it and sees it, he can give you a better suggestion on whether you should buy the truck or not.
That truck you said $6 put in 2 light bulbs.
I know.
The one light, two light bulbs.
And the other thing that the trucking company said was that he would have to spend 2 more hours to be able to find out where the oil leak was coming from. So it would be better for us, for Scott to do it and then bring it back to the board and let you make a decision. I think it was good that the owner of the truck suggested that he would pay half of this estimate. And I don't think we can find, this truck has a lot of miles on it. It has 400 and some thousand miles on it. But from what people tell me, that a diesel is not, you can't judge a diesel by a regular price. So we haven't been able to ever find one that at this price.
What were other ones costing?
Well, when I was looking at them before, they were like $75,000 and on up, and they were way down in. They're like way down in Memphis and on down and everything.
So really, the parts, they just come to $783, don't they? So it's like you said, it's labor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And some of, I mean, like a radio, they don't need a radio, that's on their.
You have to walk the top.
Yeah, that's what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awful lot of labor there, aren't
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you?
That's what it all is.
Yeah.
$100 worth of stuff.
Yeah, and Scott thinks that, that's unreal. The labor's unreal.
You get your job worked on the diesels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said this guy bought that truck in July of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what he said.
6 months later, he's wanting to sell it.
Well, he said he was going to retire, that's what he told me out there.
Yeah.
That he's going to try to retire, get out of the business, and he was going to turn it over to his son, and he already had another truck or two that he was going to use.
Yeah, that's what he told us.
The truck just passed me when I came home. The one we looked at.
Mm-hmm.
And it had 3 men in it, and it's going that way. So apparently they're using it.
Yeah.
But about, now, again, if you wouldn't mind, there was some issue about license. Are we okay for Scott to drive it?
Yes.
Because
So
he
CDL.
have a tanker endorsement to be able to operate it. So.
Well, I think it's from what Scott was saying, since the owner would be in the truck with him,
Okay, so
and
good.
right.
And of course, we're looking forward. We're starting to look at some other employees that can operate the truck too.
Trevor has already volunteered to get his license.
Awesome.
So I don't think that we'll be losing that much to have Scott to take a look at it. But it's y'all's decision.
You drive it and pump it.
I'm on board.
Huh?
I'm on board.
Okay. So Eric or
Yeah.
okay, Richard. Okay then. So anyway, The only thing is that either Friday or Monday he can get with Elliot Scott. Okay, I'm sorry. I've called him Elliot all this time. Okay. Let's see. We'll move on to something else then. I should have given you this letter, but I'll give it to you later. Anyway, I had a meeting last week on the industrial park red light. And it was running around, when we first started out, it was running around $700,000 and some thousand. Now it's up to $500,000.
Change that red light out?
They don't just do the light.
From 75,000.
They don't just do the light. They do everything else that's supposed to happen around there. It'll be putting in the post, of course, and then they'll have to change some the way some of it's laid out. And the state right-of-way goes all the way up. Well, it's just a little ways outside of the door of that business. So the business is going to have to move because that's state property.
How about the car?
Yeah. They're going to have to move that. And then, depending on everything else, might be some changes in the Industrial Park Road that's near there. It's just cost, and they only had one contractor to bid on it, and that was Summers and Taylor. So I mean, this is all federal money, so we should not have to pay anything. And so finally we have a quote on it, and it's really high, but they estimated that they can have it finished by November of this year.
Supposed to be done by July last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's been 5 years. But now some of these other cities, it's been worse. I mean, they've had some things that's gone as long as 20 years or more. So when you're dealing with the state, you just have to go with what they... Yes. I do have one other thing to mention to you on the sidewalk construction from the bridge to the city hall. They had more or less told me that we was not going to receive that grant. But now, in one of my meetings, I was told that the decision has not been made. They are taking some other things in consideration instead of just the larger cities. So we should know within the next month whether we'll receive it. So, okay, we will move on to comments from the board members. Alderwoman Carol Keith.
It's good to see everybody. Stay safe, and keep praying, and keep the faith. And if you need me, I'm just a phone call away.
Thank you. Okay, Alderman Jeff Rawls.
Just like to thank everybody for coming out. I just want to praise again the workshops we've been having. They've been very productive. I enjoy them.
Good.
And then finally, just a little bit of brief on our Veterans Memorial. It's moving right along. We broke ground the other day, a couple of days ago.
Good.
The concrete is on its way in when the weather permits. Soon thereafter, within about 15 to 30 days, we should see buildings erected. A generous amount of names are going on there at this point. We're still taking names, and so it's going to be a beautiful project. Still looking at a dedication ceremony at Memorial Day.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Okay, Vice Mayor Ray Harrington.
Good to see everybody again. It'd be nice if we could open it back up with everybody to come to the meetings, but it is what it is with COVID.
Yeah.
we're moving along. I think we might have lit the fire under Dave Wilson, as they say. Hopefully, you know. I think we put him on the hot seat up here.
I think
But
you did.
we need to keep that going on him, you know. We need to get this done, get the boots on the ground, as they say. But like Jeff said, these workshops are very, very helpful, I think, right now with everything. And thank everybody.
Thank you. Alderman Eric Ward.
Thank y'all for coming out. It's almost sort of normal. Maybe we'll be back to normal one day.
Yeah.
Just like I said, everybody enjoy the dry weather for a few days.
Oh, yes.
We need more rain.
Please. Okay. You have anything else?
I'm good.
Okay. Alderman Richard Bowen.
I appreciate everybody being here tonight, all of us together, and I think we had a very productive meeting. We did, especially with the sort of, you know, the answer to questions that we had, but I still want to see it start digging.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Want to see it start digging. When I do that, I know it's on its way. And appreciate everybody.
Okay. I would just like to say that I really appreciate all that you all did tonight by talking up and letting him know that this is something serious and it's got to be taken care of.
Yeah, one more thing. I'm really tired of hearing we're allowed 5. John City has overflow, Elizabeth has overflow. I don't want to hear that no more, you know? I want to hear Bluff City.
I agree.
If they have overflow in Elizabeth, fine, you know, let them worry about it. But we need to worry about our town.
Okay, I agree. Okay, we're down to reports from city officials, and the county commissioners don't come anymore. Chief Greg Depew.
It's not election year. Who said that?
That's right. Not election year.
Good evening, board,
Good evening.
come out tonight. Good to see you guys. I apologize about not being at the workshop. I don't know if most of you may not know, you may know, but you will sooner or later. I'm getting ready to be a grandfather again.
Yeah.
Been dealing with my granddaughter, or my daughter, and last Tuesday I didn't take her to the emergency room, so I apologize. But I'll try to be here when I can. But for the month, we have 167 calls. We issued 127 citations, had 65 warning violations. We drove 4,341 miles, had 26 arrests, 8 offense reports, 13 alarms, 3 accidents, had 31 MSD reports, had 3 domestics and 4 drug violations. And also what you'll be seeing with this sheet of paper here is kind of small, but what we're doing, Detective Caldwell, you guys have met him, obviously he's met him or not, but he now that we kind of get back on our feet is taking out doing the investigative work for us as a detective. And just to give monthly briefings on kind of things that's going on, what we're doing, cases he's looking at, things we're working. You'll be getting this little paper here that gives you some idea of what he's doing. But outside of that, everything's kind of just moving along. So.
Did you get all your cars back?
We did. Now we've got 3 of the 4 Tauruses. We've got the Explorer, and then we've got the truck. We've got a total of 5.
So how many officers do we have?
That's 8.
I thought for some reason I thought we had a car for every officer.
The car that we purchased from Chicago, it's in service now, and we've been fortunate to get some parts been excellent.
How much was it?
We put like $14,995, and we probably had about $3,000 getting everything else done to it, getting it serviced, making sure it was good. So around 17 we had on the road. Under 18, that was lights, cage, equipment. I mean, it comes. So in the future, whatever that's not a bad thing to do when you can get one for that price, because it beats the $37,000.
Yeah.
And they've been very happy with it. The officers like that car as much as they did the other ones. The mileage is good on it. It's so far so good. So
We got any more good deals?
all kinds of good deals. We keep, because you never know one day the next what's going to happen. So we started trying to stay on top of things with that. And there's a place in Florida, but a place in Chicago too. They keep stuff up there, what we got, or maybe even a little bit better than what we got, around that same price range. And usually, if you buy like two, they'll give you a $5 discount.
So you've got 6 officers of patrols.
Yeah, we've got myself and Jane as admin people for the department, and then you've got a detective. And what we've been doing is just sharing the truck. And they use the truck, and the detective can tell you that truck's been an asset to this department as well. They've made a lot of good arrests on it and used it for certain things. It's been very, very good. So we've been sharing that, and then the other officers are just sharing the other 4.
It's been in the service a long time, and down sometimes 24 hours, don't it?
Yeah.
So we got 6 that are using the 4 cars.
Yes.
So they don't take it home. They have to swap it out.
Yeah.
But that's 24 hours a day, they're being used.
At times, they'll switch it because we got the 6 on patrol.
Yeah.
They're using the 4 marked units, and then we share the truck.
So we were down to 2 when the 2 cars got wrecked?
We were down to 3 counting the truck. We had the truck, and then we had
Right.
but the 2 got wrecked about the same time.
Yes.
We had some bad luck.
So you buy the used one until the others, until after you wreck the other 2.
No, the last thing what we did when, and I think maybe Mary mentioned it to you about, do you think get some used? We talked about it, and we got to looking. Actually, Mark, he's been in Florida. He just went and bought a Crown Vic for himself down there, so that's why he's not in uniform. But he just got back. He just got back from there, and he bought a Crown Vic for himself. He said he had all kinds of stuff. Had all kinds of stuff. And a lot of Charlotte, not Charlotte, but Chicago, they keep pretty good stuff. But after seeing the one we have, I mean, for $14,995, you just couldn't beat it. It's a great deal.
What model is it?
It's a 2017. Everything clean, everything works, no rust issues, no problems.
They haven't been wrecked.
No, haven't been wrecked. They do complete Carfax on them, look at them, drive them. When this one was purchased, they let them keep it overnight drive. So they got to inspect it, you could look at it, and then when we got it back from there, we took it to the Ford place. They did some recalls to it, changed the oil, the fluid, stuff like that, and got it going. So it's been so far so good.
You got a deal there.
Yeah.
Well, and Chief, you also, we can get 2 cars for what one costs.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were looking, about 37, 38 is what we were paying for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are clean, nice, they're professional looking cars where the city's represented well, and the officers like them. For that price, I'm okay with. I think that's a good deal.
Yeah.
So how many miles do we put on a car a year? Just one car? Just average.
It's hard to tell breaking each car down. I'd have to research it and get into per car, but I knew this where we got down to 2, they were a lot of miles. Because when but you never know what's going to happen. We can't, you get out here, you're sitting in a red light, somebody runs into you. Like accident happened out here, the officer got hit. Tessa had a deer run out from her head. So it puts us in a position where they're just sharing cars.
But it's average out right now, 4,300 miles. That's 1,000 miles a month on each other before you go.
Yeah.
It'd be nice just to have one on standby, wouldn't it? If something was to happen.
Old cars are good to have for departments in case you need them. For like when one service. The way we try to do it, like if there's any service issues or something, when they take their long break, then we usually try to fit it in there. But sometimes if they're in service, we just do the best we can to get it up there when we can.
They need extra just in case we wreck another one.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to be ready in case something happens. I mean, we don't know when for next what's going to happen. But that's the situation with them. And we've been to the car lots and checked everything. I mean, I'm comfortable with the used cars. In the future, whatever the board would decide to do, I'm very comfortable and feel good about what we can get from those places and save the city a lot of money.
Remember, we got the money to buy another used for $15,000?
We can check into it. Let's see what they have. They've, our officers, the city officers, I'm proud of them because they went a long time without having an accident. And then it was just like, you know.
I know, because I was ready to come 8 o'clock in the morning, so maybe to talk to you. So, but no, she was always kind and understanding. First thing she said was, anybody hurt? No.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's our situation, and like we discussed before, we feel like back with the Chargers, when we lost those 3 at one time, we just kind of never recovered. And we went back through that in the past a while. We ended up where we did, and I don't blame that to anybody in this room. It's just a situation we all kind of got stuck with it.
So it was right at 15 for that one.
Yeah.
There's almost enough in that special police drug fund.
Yeah, and I'll tell you too, I mean, there's, like, we seized 2 cars, and the Gray Explorer out here too, we could probably try to even sell it. And
Yeah.
maybe use to try to pull some money somewhere, but, I mean, right now, we're taking care of business, but I'm not here to say if something happens tonight. I mean, we know what you could break one tonight and one tomorrow. Somebody could hit you. We don't know that. I can't tell you that won't happen.
I just don't want to get in the same situation we were when I first came in, 3 cars down.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this too. I have seen too doing vehicle inspections, and we do them monthly. When an officer has his car, he's accountable for things. You know who did it. You know who to look for. They know when it's inspected. And it just, I think it helps in a lot of ways too. So, and it's
You have to raise good on what oil though, won't you?
Yeah, the tires are like,
Yeah.
because there's things they're supposed to check every shift to make sure that the car's good and safe and keeping the maintenance and stuff up on it. So, yeah, you get down to 2 cars, it's hard to get them to the shop with the oil change.
Oh, I know it is, yeah.
Because you're just so busy with them on the road, and they've been very productive too. I mean, we so.
How many miles does it have on it?
The one we purchased had like 60, 67, which everything looked good. I mean, it's I'm not.
That's not many miles to take care of one.
No, if it's not being run today.
Yeah.
Well, and those cars are on those programs too, where they're serviced every time they need it and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all on that car.
Yeah, because like you said, and he's met the gentleman in person, Mayor and I talked to him on the phone. They have good stuff. They take pride in what they do, and they've been in business for many years. So they try their best, I'm sure, to make sure it's good when it goes out the door. So, we got this one. I mean, lights, siren, cage, the bars on the back of the windows for $14.99.
All that's with it?
We probably got. What do you think, guys? Probably $6,000 worth of equipment.
Oh, yeah.
That
Every
come with
bit
the
of
car.
it. Yes.
If
I
we
mean,
have
it's got the
about-
console, it has the lights and the grill, the push bar on the front, the cage, the door bars and everything. Yeah.
What we did have a water pump in it. But
It's leaking a little bit.
it was leaking a little bit of water, so we want to make sure everything was good to go with it. But we got like 19 out of the one that was crashed, right?
Right.
To the insurance company. So we had enough money, I think, then we could get everything taken care of. So.
I guess you had to stripe it too. We'll put the
Yes.
lettering on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's $425. So.
Foster's does good for us, doesn't it? Foster's does good for
They're
us.
the best, yeah.
I can't see one police department telling another, tell a junk car to it.
No, and all the paperwork's good, Carfax checks out, all the documentation's with it, about his service and stuff like that, so.
And I won't sell you another one of these days,
Well, and two, let's get able to drive them overnight and keep them and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
we run it pretty hard up there, and we knew it was a good car when we left.
Yeah, and see, they drove it back from Chicago, so they never had been served all that.
That's good.
Let's see if we can get the ball rolling on another one.
Thank you for checking that out,
Let's see if we
Chief.
can get the ball rolling on
Saving you a
another
lot of money right there.
Okay.
But I'll get some stuff together and see what we can come up with. But there's a lot of good deals out there, so.
I guess it'd be just we could find the money.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
That's what Irene's writing down right now.
The question, I'd like to bring up the reserve officers program
Yeah.
and where we are it seems we really don't have any reserve officers right now.
That's right. I'm glad you're standing there. Not good question, because we just now, when COVID started really bad, it kind of put us in a situation trying to keep people out of cars as much as we can, them coming in, because we wanted to keep our full-time officers here, make sure we was keeping us as safe as we could be. So it kind of went away. We had some that chose on their own to quit. So it hadn't been a great big focus until about a month ago. But Detective is picking up for us. He and I and the Deputy Chief are working, and we're starting the program trying to get it back built up, because we will need it for Heritage Days, events coming, and I hope we have Heritage Days, and I hope all those things come back around, and they're an asset to have.
How many you allowed to have?
We can hold up to 10? Did we have at one time? Did
I think.
you all put it in there? But it just kind of dwindled down, and we've not pushed the issue. But 2020, we know what we dealt with, and a lot of people were just afraid to get out, and we were afraid to get a lot of people other than just those who had to be with the police department or around the city workers.
You know, something else we need to think about too is in 2 years when this casino comes in, you're going to have a lot more traffic and a lot more stuff going on around here.
Yeah.
You really need to start getting geared up now
Yeah.
for that.
I agree. And how do we get folks in the pipeline
Yeah.
on to become full-time policemen?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
See, that's what I like. That if we can get those, and at one time we really worked hard on it, because we had a swearing-in ceremony in here. It was a very professional thing. The mayor came and swore everybody in. They invited their families. It was a really nice thing. Got a book to show you, got pictures. It turned out real good, because Billy made a book about the events and what we did. So it worked out good, and we had it built up pretty good at one time, and with the COVID stuff, it just trying to, it hurt us. Because they're required to do, their in-service. Their requirements are basically the same as ours, except for their they don't have to be post-certified, but they got to do like 80 hours in-service before they can get in the car. But we do all that stuff online, but they've got to meet all the standards and stuff. And in the near future, probably will have to be reporting their stuff to the Post Commission. I believe that's what's the direction they're going, which is a good thing. That keeps anybody and everybody out of, doing it that shouldn't probably be out there doing it. So, and we've tried hard to get us back to that point. But building this thing back up, that's what our goal is. That's what we're working towards to do. And possibly could even run a thing maybe in the paper or something, or, if you're interested in a reserve program, I'd like to apply. So.
And we can equip them, and we won't have any issue with equipping them.
What we've done in the past is when they come here as a volunteer, the city's not been providing anything. If we have equipment, they're welcome to it. But if not, then they've always in the past had to purchase their own uniform. But a lot of, if you get, like we're talking here, get people that's wanting to get into it for some experience and try to build a career up out of it, it's like school for them, basically.
Okay.
I mean, they're getting a lot of education, learning what to do, and so.
Do you have a training period for these people?
Yes, we do. We even started up what we're doing. He has already had one training class for them, because before they go out there in that car, we want to make sure they're able to protect us, serve our city, and do things in a good way, and do it the right way, and the way we expect them to do. And we make sure that they're trained.
Are they armed?
Yes.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
About how long is the training period?
They have to have 80 hours before they can ride.
Okay.
And then it has to be an approval thing, basically like a field training thing. If we feel like, based on what they've done at their training, we're not going to put them in the position they should be in. But now they're in a car with full-time officers. They don't go answer calls by themselves. There are certain things they can do, but they come in like to work a shift or do something like that. They don't do anything like that. They're more of a, and TML will explain, they're a backup officer. Their powers, put it to you this way, reads, their powers is only with the presence of a full-time officer or under the direct supervision of a full-time officer. But those are some things we are working on, so.
I'll be interested to follow that.
Yeah. All right.
I was a full-time officer at Elizabeth in Carter County. I had the same program.
Yeah.
I was with
Well, I mean, you never
I was a
know.
regular officer, but I was with the for training.
We don't know things could happen here. We may have something we need that would require us 10 officers on the ground at one time. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. And with those here, those who are trained to do it and can do it and can come in and help us, that's an asset to you. Because they're volunteers. So we're working on trying to get that built back up. Hopefully 2021 will be a lot better. COVID will be helping.
Yes, definitely.
But that's all I have, and I'll definitely have a new grandbaby by Friday morning.
Yay!
Thank you.
Okay, the next on the agenda is the water plant operator, Terry Banner.
Yeah, me too.
Everything's been running good for our plant. We're averaging our 2 backwashes a month, which in federal we get 4. We had a leak in the water plant January 15th, and it destroyed the computers, and we had to go back to the old time charts and run in for about a month. And everything's back up and running now. The computers are all new installed. Everything's good. February, everything runs smooth. We've had all of our equipment checked by end-to-hand electronics comes and checks it. We've got all of our chemicals in the last 2 weeks. Everything's going good. Any questions?
Okay.
Water leak detection.
Water leak detection.
Have we been on boots on the ground?
We started trying to go, now that the vegetation is down a lot, we're trying to lock it.
What are we holding the tank at?
We're holding the tank at about anywhere between 37 and 42 feet, which is good. We got down a little bit over the weekend. I think we had it turned around. Well, the tank was down too. But it should be back up either tonight or in the morning. The turbidity was way down today when I left.
Can we start holding the tank a little bit higher to get a little more?
Yeah. We normally run it at about 42, 43.
Can we push it up to about 50
Yeah.
to hold
When I
more
left the
pressure?
shop today, it was up in 37, 80, almost 38. So it gains a lot during nighttime when everybody goes to sleep. We go to bed after supper and the kids go to bed and stuff. It gains pretty quickly overnight. Yes.
But he wants to see if you can hold it at 50.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is because Gerald's travel report is definitely having low.
Problem. I mean, anytime what's happening. And then the other day I was down that way and I seen the fire trucks. I don't know if it's our water or if it's somebody else's water, but they filled up 3 or 4 fire trucks. That sucks it down pretty fast too.
Yeah, that was Baker Construction Company.
Because they've got a fire hydrant on a 4-inch line.
Yeah, I seen that down there.
Yeah.
And then I got, they come off the Bluff City, or they come off Johnson City or somebody else.
Came off of Bluff City.
Did we get the mini excavator yet?
Yes, sir, we have. I think we're going to use it in the morning. We got to do a clean out on the Porter Drive, maybe.
They've used it several times.
Yes, they have.
Last week they used it several times.
Well, we fixed the leak last week. The mayor said that on Whitehead Road, the 2-inch line, it's losing probably the water. I said we're losing probably 100,000 gallons easily a week, probably. And we fixed it was going through a tile and it was in an encasement, but it had pulled apart, which it does a lot in encasements. We had trouble with that at the house. Other than that, everything's going good. The tank, when we fix that leak, the tank broom, we had to go shut everything off because it's getting so high. If it gets too high, it causes a little bit of trouble. But 50 feet ain't a problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Good job, Eddie.
And I'll mention one thing. The equipment, a lot of equipment that got messed up, the insurance company, they're paying for it.
The insurance guy came up and he almost all of it.
Yes.
That's good.
Right. Okay. And I will mention the reason why Alan is not here is because Alan can't seem to get any of his vacation in. And so we had to let him have some time off. So that's the reason why he's not here tonight. But
Last night rain.
but I can tell you though, he hasn't been here for 3 days. But I guarantee you that I hate to even say this. he's being called, I'd say, probably 4 hours or 5 hours out of the day. So,
I know how that is.
you know how that is. Yeah. Okay. Well, we have Dwight King and Herschel Glover. They have not been here since I don't know where, but I don't know when their election is. But is it next year? Is their election?
We'll see them then.
Yeah. So I will mention that under old business, the men are still doing some work at the pavilion. We've had some of the old posts that they've had to replace, and then as soon as the weather breaks, they planned on staining the posts and stuff down there at the boardwalk and pavilion. Okay. And the thing that I'm working on right now, under well, does anybody have any old business?
I don't know if it's old business or new business. I just wanted to know what's being done at the junkyard down here.
Well, we're taking pictures and everything, and the chief took a whole bunch of pictures. Mr. Fry's in the hospital. I mean, he's out now, but he's in a lot of pain and stuff. And he said that when he comes back, he's going to get on it really hard and get something done.
Can an ordinary citizen ask a question? Did y'all just rezone that so that guy could put that there?
We didn't get it passed.
They didn't get it passed.
You didn't get the rezone passed?
No, but he split. It's a split zone. Part of it's R1, part of it's C3.
Right.
You don't know one of them.
He wanted the one where he could do basically anything.
Yeah.
And we kicked it back.
But basically he can do anything on one half.
Right.
But he's getting on all of it. Like hell.
And I'll add this to it, and I have it to prove it because there's case files of there. Every code that we could have cited him for under our city codes that exist now, he has been cited for. And a case has been prepared and a case has been brought before the courts. We did that on numerous occasions.
3
and
times.
we get nowhere. And I'm not the one to point a finger at anybody, but I know the mayor hears it. I hear it. We go down there, and what codes we have, we're trying our best to enforce a $50 fine on what he has, and he pretty much laughs at us.
Is that correct?
So,
That's a lot of-
I'll say courtroom. We bring it here, and I feel like reviewing the cases I've seen, they've been excellent cases. It's put together with detailed information, excellent pictures. We are doing everything at this point I feel we can do.
But y'all were pre-warned. There's a lady come up here and said that was going to happen. Remember
She
that,
did,
Mayor?
yes.
It gets
So-
And I felt sorry for her. I couldn't believe nobody considered what she said. I don't know if you did. I mean, you know. Well, honey, I'm not blaming. I'm just
But
saying,
we
you wasn't
can't
considered what
stop
she
him
No,
from being down there because it's on B3. We stopped him from rezoning the R1 part. We didn't stop
She,
that.
you remember she said her
Oh,
property
yeah,
would be Wentworth and Thorne when that guy
She
was.
cried.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was really.
So the mayor and I had got together because she feels about it the way I do, and we really want. But we got with Mr. Fry, made a phone call to him, and he did reach back out to me and said when he got back off of his sickness, what his back whatever he's going through, we're going to
Had
meet.
surgery.
I said we just need to come up with a solution to this problem, whatever we have to do. If it's come back to the board and try to change something or do something so we can help. Because I agree totally.
It got thrown out of court once, but
Two
the judge,
times.
yeah, and then the judge gave him an extension to
And
get
not
it
only
fixed.
the point of it getting throughout, the mayor tell you, it drug out for months.
Yeah, kept giving
It-
extension.
Okay, come back 30 days, come back 30 days, come back, and you know.
I know a guy that owed the city like $7,000-8,000 got fined for things that he did wrong. And you can't do nothing to this guy?
We've cited it.
I'm not being a jerk, I'm just asking a question.
That's
What
might
we
have been
do-
why I held that up, you know.
What we do is we take the complaint, we go to it, we see what it is and what city codes that we can write him for. If we see it, we do it. And at that point, we just bring it before the court. And our city attorney and the officer tries to prosecute the case before the courts. And the outcome of that, and I think the officers have done everything they could have done. I don't think that, it's pretty simple when you see a picture and you see an ordinance or a city code.
What about sales tax?
That, we've reached out to the state. the mayor and Sharon contacted the state.
Because he is selling
They-
things actively.
Yeah, he is selling stuff, and the state had said they were coming up here, but they never did come.
I've got a question. I've got the same problem down my neighborhood. The junkyard has never been touched, and he's not in business. I've been to the courthouse. He doesn't have business license. And there's still rats down there. I called the environmentalists. They said they will call the city up here. She called me back 2 days later and said that she did talk to someone from the city, and the city told her that the problem of the rats had been taken care of. Well, that's not so. I've never seen nobody down there even look for the rats. And then the new ordinance guy just came down there. I don't know what's happened to him. I saw him one time. He spotted 5 violations just by walking up the road. But nobody's done anything except a summer ago when they moved the trailer out that was infested with rats. But it's not only that trailer. It's from the junkyard down through to the big white house. All the way through there on that road, there's rats. And there's debris. There's a basketball goal that's been sitting in front of that white house at the edge of the road, an old carpet that's been there since April of last year. I wrote it down in my notes to make sure. It's right here to see. When the man came over to start mowing, because I come up here and complained about they weren't mowing and the weeds were as high as the chain link fence, then he came over. Somebody must have said something to him about not mowing. Well, he come over and started mowing, and that's when he pulled the carpet and the goal out, and it's set along the road. Nobody's never touched it. It's still there. Go down there and drive through and look at it. So that's my complaint. Don't get on to that man down there unless you get on them up here too, is what I'm saying. We all need to be treated fair and equal in this city. We all pay our taxes, we pay the garbage, we pay our water bills, we pay what we're supposed to pay, and I want the ordinances enforced. That's all my complaint has been ever since I've been running up here for 3 years now. I've been complaining 3 years, and they done that one thing and thought. There's nothing's been touched since. And everybody comes down through there, they'll say, how in the world do some of these people live like this? You know, it's not just my complaints. And I've got people that see me out that don't even know me, but see me at the flea market and over here in Bluff City, don't know me by name or nothing, but they'll say, you need to complain about that. And I've got problems where I live. They even tell me that, you know. And I say, well, go to the meetings. They won't do no good. They don't do you no good. That's what the citizens say about this. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing as a new person. And I know I haven't been helped too awful much.
Kathy, if we may, Eric.
Do we still have the code enforcer?
Yes, we do. We do. We still have a code enforcer.
What exactly are you
And
talking
he's-
about? At the end of McClellan Lane, I'm at the brick
Down
house.
at the tunnel, down at the tunnel.
Down at the tunnel, exactly.
Yeah. I'm gonna be to it when I stand.
It's still there, it's there, it's there.
Can Greg speak?
Is it the ball goals you're concerned down there? Is that the problem? I mean, what?
It's all of it. It's just, this man's got, I bet 12 cars in there that's never moved. And then there's junk and debris, and when you look at it, you think it's a junkyard. And the courthouse says he's not in business. He doesn't have a business there. He just puts his junk inside that lot.
Kathy, if I may, Greg, can we go down there and check those vehicles?
We can.
If they don't have active tags on them, and that's the whole situation we run in with Melvin and stuff, we need
What
to.
we'll do, we'll cite them.
It's
And
been there for years.
what we got to figure where the code enforcer now is, because when we had the code enforcer working through the police department, I knew a little bit more about where he was going, the times he was there, what he was doing. When the new guy started doing it, now I don't know where he's going, what he's patrolling, what complaints he's taking, where's the complaints coming from, if he gets them. So I've not had a whole lot of talk with him. I've had a couple conversations with him.
Who's controlling it?
I guess he works, he's under you, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he comes and does that. I'm thinking, Greg, that did you check I was thinking that all those cars have tags and stuff on them, and they can run.
If it's the one property down there, Mr. Wells, we did.
No, it's not his.
He's talking about, she's talking about Terry. She's talking about Terry and the fence that's closed around it.
But you can still see through his fence. It's just our, the only thing the man has done in 3 years that I've been down there, he cut the weeds that had grown up so tall, you could just see the tops of the cars. So he did cut the weeds down, and now you can see it all. It's just all there. Just drive through there and look at it. It's there to see. It's just there to see.
You know, there's part of a fence around it. And I think all those, excuse me, I'm talking.
Please let us talk, please, and we'll address it.
I think the last time we looked at those cars, they had tags on them and they could run.
They did.
So, and
the last
the
time they
part,
looked at, I know from when I had talked to it down there when Kim was doing it, I think Kim did the last follow up on it and said with the fence and stuff, what he seen was there was no violation.
The cars had been sitting there from day one, and if he moves them, I've never seen them move. He cut the grass down where you could see them clear. You know, that's how the work he's done.
As long as he's got tags on them, they're ready, you don't have to move them.
yeah.
Have to run.
If they're running.
Have to run.
And from what I understand, they all run. So, but Chief, you can check it out again and
Get a report back.
yeah, and make sure.
And I'll reach out to Trent.
And the lady, I think where she's talking about where the basketball goal is, isn't that the one that's from out of town and she was going to come in and do some stuff?
It is. Yeah.
But she's got stuff sitting on the street.
We can.
Yeah.
We'll
Well, if we have to, just the basketball goal, I see no problem with, just having the men to get rid of it.
And the carpet, she said, too.
Yeah. Well, we can get rid of that too.
Yeah, that's an abandoned.
She lives out of town somewhere, and
Yeah. But we could
So.
reach out to her, and I'll get the code enforcer too, because I don't know what he's working on it, what he's not working on it. I don't know if he makes regular routine patrols to the community. If he does it, how many times a week, the more he documents he goes, or if he does document where he goes. But we'll have to get on the same
Yeah.
page with him, or we're not going down there, he's going down there, and see who's, because I'll help him any way I can. Anything we can do for him will help him, to help the people and citizens of the town believe.
but he actually went and talked to the one in the brick house, the one y'all were talking about, and where he has all that stuff, and he claims that he's not selling anything, and it's not true.
You mean in front of the United?
Um,
In front of Ray's?
Yeah. Yeah. But whatever is going to happen, it's going to have to happen with the board, because evidently what we're doing is not strong enough.
He posts items for sale on Facebook all the time on those yard sale sites.
And he has not bought a business license.
And when the state was contacted, that's probably been several months back.
Mhm.
When you contacted them. And they reached out to us one time and told us they would be looking into it. And I've never heard anything back from them.
Yeah.
Blame it on COVID now.
Huh?
I said they'll blame their lack of activity on COVID.
They are. You're right about that. But I'm not going to sit here and say that everything around town is in excellent shape and stuff. We need to check into it. And, you sometimes have people complaining about cars that's parked on the street. You can't say nothing about cars being parked on the street. We don't have any room for a lot of cars to park anywhere else but on the street. I mean, some people have fancy homes and they have fancy places to park everything. But now, look up on Mill Street. Those people, no matter what we do, unless you want to take their home or something, because they have nothing else but what they have. They're parked on both sides of the street. Their homes are not perfect. But my opinion, they're doing the best that they can. And it didn't happen overnight.
And in most cases, and I'll say all cities, because I have taken it upon myself to drive around and look at other cities. 60 to 70% of most places, there is a violation.
That's
and
true.
what happens, a lot of people say, well, you take care of that, then come back to see me. Or if you write me one, I better see you over there writing them one because that's fair.
And
That's what we run into a lot too, and I understand being fair and doing your job, don't have a problem with it. But a lot of times we've been like with some of these things, hey, if we don't get a complaint, we're not going to push a lot of issues. If people aren't complaining, we just kind of work off the complaints the best we can and try to deal with what we can.
Try to help people. And
Yeah.
let me be clear, none of us is perfect.
Right.
We all got faults.
I agree.
But there are ordinances, as we discussed in the last workshop, like the zoning ordinance.
Why have the ordinances if you don't enforce them? That's my question.
But we haven't looked at them in a very long
Well,
time.
then we need to start.
And that's what we're trying to do now. We talked about it in our last meeting. There were 3 different ordinances that were mentioned on property here. And it all, like I talked about when Dave was here, this board is very active. We dig into things, but our predecessors, unfortunately, weren't like that sometimes. And there's about 350 pages of ordinances that the town has written over the many years, and we just got to dig in that file and find the ones that we need to look at and strengthen them. I mean, a one-time fine of $50, I'll give you that on a coffee right now, laugh at you.
Yeah, that's what happens.
And that's the reason that, and it's hard work because we have to get Paul involved and we have to figure out what we can do, but be fair with everyone else too because of how geographically limited we are.
Well, every time I came to court, and I came the whole time, are we having that court still?
It's not been open other than the violator or the person who has a case.
Well, I only think who complied with that judge, because he gave them fair warning. If you come back in here and you've not complied and cleaned up, you will be fined. When they came back, they've done cleaned it up. So he can be enforced, because he enforced it when we had court.
There was a lot of those. I think what you're like, and I understand what you're saying, but go back to the Rutledge property. You were here for some of that too,
Exactly.
so you know where we're coming.
Yeah, I do.
But it finally just got thrown out of court. No fine was given.
So there's piddly things. Somebody said, "Hey, you got to do me a favor. You do this for me. Take care of this. If you come to court, the city, we don't want to fight. It'll be taken care of. Just come show us that you took care of it." We've always tried to do that to people because we don't want to hurt. We don't want. But they'll come, those cases like you've seen, and they fix it. It's gone. It's over.
Right.
Chief, up on Mill Street, you know, you had to do quite a bit up on Mill Street. And they did follow the rules up there.
We got a lot of stuff done, and we're doing a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff got done down there too. I know you're not totally satisfied with where you're at today, but from where we were to where we're at today, it is 90% better. And from what I remember, I mean, I understand there's still things there. I'm not trying to say that, but there's been a lot of stuff accomplished down there also. So we'll just keep working. We'll all try to come together, figure out what we can do to make it better, and come up with a better solution to the problem, and just try to get it fixed.
I wonder sometimes that maybe the city might need to come up with some kind of program to help some of these people that you want them to do things, and maybe they don't have the money for it. Maybe we should come up with some kind of fund where we could help people.
Yeah, that would be great.
I mean, we got people that don't have a bunch of money that can't do everything that we want them to do. But maybe if we had some kind of fund and try to help some of these people, maybe the board could help to make things better.
What about networks?
Huh?
Is it networks?
No.
I don't think or that.
No,
The board you're on in
networks.
Bristol.
The
The board you're on in Bristol where they do grant money.
Home Consortium Board.
Home Consortium.
Yeah, we do some things up to, but you have to meet the qualifications, you know, and everybody that's having problems are not going to meet those qualifications. I mean, that's sad to say, but it's the truth. I mean,
You know, when my grandmother Lyons died many years ago, this other gentleman named Wells was the mayor. And their driveway was not in the city limits. And it was full of potholes. It was in the spring, it was raining. Somewhere or another, a load of gravel got out there. I remember I was 21 years old when it happened. Erring to the side of the citizen always was when it's legal. And I agree with you, Mayor. You're right.
Or some kind of committee cleanup. Get together.
And reward those that do a great job.
yeah.
We have some beautiful homes here in town. Yours is a very nice place.
Yeah, but you can't make people that don't want to keep the property clean, you can't make them do it. They're not going to do it. You know, I get out there with a bucket and go down the road and pick up trash when it washes down. Nobody else does that.
Beautiful home.
And
Mr.
I'm not
Wells got a
perfect,
beautiful
but I try
home.
to
Look like
live
a
clean.
mansion.
And I hope that everybody else would want to live clean at least. We can all live clean no matter what we have.
That's exactly right.
I know Mr. Wells got a beautiful home. It looks like a mansion on the inside.
Yeah.
Then we go through.
Yes.
Wait a minute. We got new business.
Do we have any new business?
New business.
Okay.
Can I?
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited and hope we can make it happen about getting the swings down here at the pavilion, the park for the children.
Well, good.
So let's make that happen.
Yeah, we got a war memorial up next to the prison up there, and we got
All right.
now we have swings down there in the good part of town.
Okay, don't let me catch
Thank
you in there.
very much.
Don't let me catch you down there swinging there. Okay.
It'd be after
But
hours.
can we?
I mean, that place looks
What
like
can
prison.
we do about that? You know.
We talked about that workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prices, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Written prices.
Okay, great.
I have some. I thought that Dave and Sam was going to take half of the night, so I didn't bring the pictures because I didn't want to keep you here all night. But
I didn't have supper.
you done had supper, so you don't care.
That little boy that would love that.
Go ahead, Richard, make your motion.
And the one thing that under new business I could mention, I'm working on a health and safety policy that we're supposed to complete every 7 years. So as soon as that's finished, and Mr. Fry will have to be here though, and we'll have to have it as an ordinance rather than a resolution because you have to admit to some costs. Whether you well, is there anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, take a vote, please. Is everybody in line?
Mike, everybody's going in.
All in favor?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Carol Key,
Yes.
Jeff Rules, Ray Harrington,
Yes.
Eric Ward, Richard Bowling. Thank you.